What's going on, guys? MMA Island team. We got the fight picks, and we got Roxanne Modafferi taking on Andrea Lee. Now, looking at this fight here, very, very interesting fight. Thinking about how these two girls' last opponent is actually the same opponent, Lauren Murphy. Both girls lost a decision. Both lost a decision to Lauren Murphy. Looking at Roxanne Modafferi, 24-17, record doesn't tell all, as we know. 24-17, you can't say that she's just this terrible fighter that is just barely scraping by. She's beating pretty good competition. Obviously, everybody knows the Macy Barber fight, Antonina Shevchenko. Passing it over to Andrea Lee, a volume striker, definitely on a 2-fight losing streak. Both split decision. Now, I can't remember who I had for the Joanne Calderwood Andrea Lee fight, but I definitely remember who I had for Lauren Murphy and Andrea Lee, because I had Andrea Lee in that fight.
And so did everyone. Every single media member scored the fight for Andrea Lee.
I do say that is a very, very big robbery, but I will have to say my GOAT, and this is totally off topic, but my greatest robbery of all time, my grot, is Francisco Trinaldo versus Alexander Hernandez. And I'm curious to see, let's get off topic. Zach, who's your greatest robbery of all time?
Greatest robbery of all time? Pure bias coming in here. Pure bias, absolutely. But Blachowicz versus Jacare. The fight sucked, but Jacare 1, 2, 3 for life. Or Reyes Jones, fresh in the memory, but I'm still going to have to go with Jacare versus Blachowicz because I am very, very biased.
Fair enough. But the point is that was a really big robbery. Lauren Murphy, Andrea Lee. And looking how Roxanne Modafferi went up against Andrea Lee, a fight that I was the lone wolf picking Lauren Murphy to win. Lauren Murphy goes out there and wins it. And as we know, as I mentioned in the earlier fight pick, I had a terrible card after that. Man, the thing is that I got Andrea Lee winning this one. I just think that she's able to outpoint Roxanne Modafferi. Obviously, we know where Roxanne Modafferi has the advantage, and it's on the ground. She's typically the type to take you to the ground and either ground and pound you or submit you there. She doesn't have a crazy amount of submissions, but she does go for submissions a significant amount. But believe it or not, Andrea Lee actually has more submission average per 15 minutes. Attempts at least. And looking at the takedown stats, Andrea Lee has higher takedown accuracy, higher takedown average per 15 minutes, and then a higher takedown defense. So when you're looking at that and you say, okay, well, so if Andrea Lee, at least stats-wise, has the advantage in the takedown/ground game, maybe Roxanne Modafferi can stand up there and be in the striking game with Andrea Lee. I don't really know, because you look at the stats here, 3.04 for Roxanne Modafferi at 30% accuracy. Not very good. Andrea Lee, 5.4 landed per minute at 48% accuracy. That's pretty good. Absorbed per minute, 4.8 absorbed per minute for Roxanne Modafferi at 54% defense. Defense pretty good. Absorbed per minute at 1.76 higher absorbed per minute than strikes landed. That's a pretty big differential. The defense is decent, but you're passing it over to Andrea Lee, who is at 3.8 absorbed per minute, which is a lot lower than her landed at 65% defense. So she's got great defense. Just knowing how Andrea Lee is as a striker, she's a very crisp striker. She's a volume striker. She wants to go out there and she wants to piece up Roxanne Modafferi. And when you take her to the ground, she's no slouch there. The only time that she's been submitted is against Sarah D'Alelio. There you go. The monster at 11-7, who typically wins by submission. So, I mean, could you call it a fluke? Sure. But just looking at the competition, who these girls have fought, and Andrea Lee has fought some pretty good competition. Obviously, Roxanne Modafferi has as well. But I just look at who Roxanne Modafferi has beat, and I think that looking at a split decision win against Antonina Shevchenko, I don't put too much stock into split decisions regardless. When you have really, really close fights, if you can't pick who wins that fight, you can't really say that, oh, they dominated and that part of their game was unstoppable. And then looking at Macy Barber, that was a very, very good win. But obviously, Roxanne Modafferi has a huge advantage over Macy Barber in the ground game. So Andrea Lee, I just see her being able to strike and strike and strike. And if Roxanne Modafferi tries to take it to the ground, I see her probably maybe getting it to the ground, but I see Andrea Lee being able to survive on the ground and not just kind of be held in bottom and get ground and pounded with elbows. So it's going to be a very interesting fight to watch. I got Andrea Lee on this one. I think this is one fight I'm curious to see. The betting site that I use hasn't released the multiplier yet for me, but I hope it's a little bit higher than I expected to. Both of these ladies' last 5 fights all going the distance. So that's one thing that I think is definitely a lock. This fight is going the distance. I will be betting on that, and regardless of it, because it's pretty well just free money, but I will pass it on to Zach.
So you mentioned you don't know the odds yet, and they are out, and Andrea Lee is a massive favorite and like around a minus 300 on most sports books, and that's fair. I'll say that that's kind of fair. Roxanne Modafferi on the feet is a liability. We know that. We know that she can't really strike with anyone. And Andrea Lee is going to make her pay for that. Andrea Lee, very similar to Lauren Murphy. And she beat Lauren Murphy. She did. We know the UFC 247 judging was at the absolutely worst judged event in MMA history. Probably not, but at least in UFC history, the judging was just absolutely atrocious thanks to the scorecards of Mr. Mr. Joe Solis. Anyway, getting off track here. Andrea Lee's volume is going to cause a problem for Roxanne Modafferi. 5.4 significant strikes per minute. Roxanne Modafferi has a negative strike differential and a only 54% striking defense, which if you're only going to block half of the shots that a volume striker is going to throw you, you're still going to get landed on a decent amount. And we know Modafferi knows that she's only really going to win this fight through the ground. And Andrew, if we see a pattern here, the two like big wins that she has in the UFC, Antonina Shevchenko, Macy Barber, these are prospects. These are striking centered prospects who had weaknesses in their game exposed by Modafferi. Andrea Lee is a well-established fighter already. She knows how to deal with the threats that Roxanne Modafferi is going to throw at her. She knows how to deal with that. And she is good off of her back as well. I do believe she possesses the necessary skills to stand up if it gets taken down. And on the feet, it's not really close. Andrea Lee is by far the better striker because Modafferi's striking, while not good, it's also very unorthodox and kind of strange. This fight is just an absolute oceans apart on the feet. But yeah, this fight's kind of easy to call. This is my third highest confidence pick on the entire card, going with Andrea Lee here to get the job done.
Yeah, so I will have to agree with you with the confidence. Pretty high confidence for me with Andrea Lee here. Going to be interesting to see her fight again. Obviously, I mentioned both of their last fights against Lauren Murphy. Let's see how MMA math plays out here because I had Andrea Lee beating Lauren Murphy, as I mentioned, and Zach did as well.
So did everybody.
So so did everybody. So we're both going with Andrea Lee on this one, and we want to know who you guys got. So make sure you guys are dropping your comments, letting us know who you guys got. Make sure you guys also check out the other Fight Pick videos, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and once again, check out the other Fight Pick videos.